This is Denise, Yvette, Serna standing in for the incomparable Coelho and waiting for our esteemed guest for Meet the G Hive. Hello. Hello. Thanks for joining us. G Hive is waiting on our guest. And we're gonna have a really nice little chat for y'all. Yay! This is so exciting. Shout out to River, who taught me how to use Instagram Live. Look at me, soaring,
Is
posting.
it working? Is it working?
It's working!
Oh, we're here.
Hello!
I'm sorry. I've never done this before on the Instagram.
Instagram. I know, it's a beautiful new world where we're learning new things. This is my second time doing it. First time hosting.
Logical thing. Goodness, I thought I learned it all.
We are lifelong learners. There's much to learn.
So this is.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Sorry, I'm doing that like typical actor thing of like, oh my god, my framing is off. How dare they?
Like multiple Harry Potter books and a Trivial Pursuit box holding my pedestal up.
Yeah, I've got a little actor ring light phone holder snake combo. So I just have to like move it around to make it look better. But also like, am I in your feed? Am I stacked under you? Like,
yeah, you are. You're stacked under me. Trying to like poke your head.
Oh, it's cute.
Or give you a gentle little kiss. Well, we're gonna hopefully get some other folks in here to chit chat, but otherwise it'll be on our Instagram live feed for folks to engage with in the future. They can see just how sweaty we get talking about art, passion, life. It's gonna be great. So for those of you who join us, who are just joining us, welcome to Meet the G Hive. This is a regular show with Global Hive Laboratories where we talk to different members of our international collective, artists who are working around the world, just learning a little bit more about what they're about and what drives them and what they're looking forward to. And standing in today for the esteemed River Coelho, who usually hosts this show, and I'll be talking to Earl Kim, who's the one you really want to hear from. Hello, Earl. Welcome.
Hello, Denise. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So just to get started, and so that folks who watch this know a little bit more about you. Let's have you self-introduce the highlights, the things that excite you. Who is Earl? Who is Earl? Tell us a little about yourself.
Okay. My name is Earl T. Kim. I add the T in there because that's my professional name. But I'm an actor, theater creator, choreographer, teacher, movement director, voiceover actor, mocap performer. I do a lot of things. I perform and whatnot. That's kind of the base of it. My involvement with Global Hive begins way back. Mainly because the Global Hive seed sort of started while Denise and I were in grad school together. And that sort of, along with John Jack and Katie and all I'm just thinking of all the people that have been interviewed so far, but like, we all met in grad school for the most part. But I was squirreled away in the actors section. Sometimes we were not actively discouraged from seeing each other, but I feel like the programs were super insular in a way that we're like, we had one project, right? Like basically one like half module where we got to work with them and made differences, and then it was love from there onwards. But I feel like, I don't know. And grad school's always so weird with politics about like, our actors and the directors. They don't. Anyway, but yeah. I guess I act primarily. On stage is sort of where I, started off doing most of my work, and then most recently, in the last sort of 5 years or so, I've shifted over to doing more film, television, voiceover things. But I've been a weird little nomad, traveler, borderless artist, I guess, for a while now. I kind of have a bizarrely international background. My parents are Korean, but I was born and raised in Chicago, and then traveled sort of all over the world. South Korea, Japan, Ireland, the UK, Australia, for a few members, for a few number of years, like from like 2000, remember, and then after that, grad school in London. I met and John Jack, what kind of fell in love with them.
London was a place where people fell in love, wasn't it? All over.
It's a
museums. No. What were you saying? It's a connecting.
Because it's such a. I don't know. I feel like I'm making. But,
yeah.
But,
wow.
Kind of suck.
Thank you so much for introducing yourself. I'm trying to get these headphones on to make it cuter, and they're not working, so I'm actually going to take them off.
Okay.
You sound in the recording. That's my bad, but hello. That's so amazing. So you started sort of as a performer, but you've done all of these other things. So then what about performance excites you? And then what drew you to it? And now in your career, as you've done other things, what's drawn you in other directions?
Okay, that's really interesting. I think there's been an actual, I don't know, I think I can sort of chart some evolutions about this. And I think like most actors and young people who find themselves enjoying attention and being on stage and getting to be in the lights and feeling all the feelings, that's, I think what attracted me at first, sort of being an actor and performing and sort of really enjoying that sort of electrical feeling that happens when you are transmitting a bunch of energy out in a live space, and then you're receiving it back from the audience, and sort of creates this beautiful feeling. And I think that's, to be completely honest, what first drew me in, and sort of the bizarrely addictive nature of that sensation of like, I'm doing a thing. People are watching me do a thing, and I'm being up and doing a thing. And now, like, looking back on sort of what it is or why it is I perform, I think, the primary crux of it is storytelling. The primary stories, like, I think that's sort of been the real, I guess, development in my becoming an artist as opposed to a performer purely, where understanding sort of power of stories, understanding the structure of stories, understanding the history of stories, and really sort of tapping into how we tell them, why we tell them, and sort of working through all of those intricacies, I think, is what keeps me really sort of continually at this work that sometimes is harrowing and frustrating, and is a labor of love for all of us. But yeah, I think the way that I think that's sort of affected my own craft and my own path is that my love of story and my constant fascination with the innovation of story sort of led me through a whole bunch of different mediums, like, and each of them, I think, have their place and their importance, and have different effects and different bonuses or added effects, or have a certain set of things that they draw power from, that they provide sort of the best context for stories. Shifting from being on stage and doing largely classical work and also physical theater and movement-based pieces, like, have this world of what they can do. And then, sort of now my shift has gone to looking at more filmic interpretations of performance. And I feel like there's still an infusion of live performance in a lot of the work that I've been looking into and creating here. But it's a different beast. Looking at a piece of performance through a lens creates this distance, creates so many different things, and as well as creates an intimacy that we often, I don't know, I think in contemporary storytelling, we get really precious about being close, because the camera allows for this invasive, but like very intimate level of proximity. And again, these things are things about the storytelling, about the way we tell stories, that I think constantly fascinate me, and yeah. So yeah, I think that's, I don't know how else to describe. Go on. I don't know. Is that satisfactory?
That's amazing. It sounds beautiful and intelligent, and like a really fun, creative path. Like, the opportunity to explore storytelling in many different ways is such a privilege. That's so great. How do you feel right now about performance in this new world? Have you been working on things sort of before the current crisis of your own work? I know you're a director of film and things like that. What has that looked like for you recently?
Well, I mean, a lot of it's sort of really what everything's with coronavirus, with the pandemic, with all of these things happening. I think really what's happened is that, time has sort of morphed and shifted in a way that is not normal. I don't know. My perception of time, I just feel especially in this sort of artistic context, because of what's happening, everything is just elongated. My timelines for when I was done, when we were going to start shooting for things, when I was doing other things, traveling to, basically doing career things like going acting, traveling, and going on set and all those things. Those currently aren't happening now. Those things were scheduled. Some of those things were scheduled to be happening right now, but that's not happening. It's not like they've been completely canceled, but it's sort of everything's gone into this weird sort of stretch mode where it's like it's not like the end. It's not like there's no more light at the tunnel. It's just the tunnel really wonky, and so we're all just having to collectively navigate this wonky tunnel.
Yeah.
Figure out where and when we're gonna be able to get to work on projects with people in the same room again.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, like a bunch of basically all the work that I had lined up for the rest of the year has all vanished away as far as projects that were my own that I was working on or performing in. Projects that are my own, it's, if anything, it's given me a bit of a reprieve, I guess, in this way that, like, I thought you had deadlines.
Yeah.
Because it's like, all right, well, who knows when we're gonna be able to get a group of people in the same place together to actually film a thing or rehearse a thing or XYZ a thing. And through that, it's been really wonderful. Like, oh, Zoom, oh, Google Meets, oh, this Instagram technology. All that stuff is really, really joyful and interesting. But it's also, it's a whole nother beast. And I really, one of my big things right now is that I really wish that my other theater artists, my fellow theater artists that are out there that are big old fans of their Zoom stage readings, that we think about it in a way that's like, because we're not on stage. These are like it's a different beast, and I think that like I love everyone. I love you all. I'm so happy that we're all putting out work there that is really exciting. But like, do we need more Zoom plays? Like, let's ask ourselves, is that advancing the form? Is that helping the story? I don't mean to be that guy, but I think what I'm doing.
And to raise a finger and to say that Global Hive Labs has in just about an hour a play that's going to premiere, and we are trying to figure out how to do things at a distance, and we've done like the preliminary sort of Zoom reading, trying to direct that way. This one is actors in a theater socially distanced from one another being filmed sort of 6 feet apart. And we're trying to find sort of what this means for the form, right? Because you're right, there's a different intimate expectation, there's a different attention span. So like how do we tell these narratively?
I think it's a big. And I'm again, I am all for everyone, doing the thing, but for me right now, it's actually been a time to sort of pause, and it's been a time of observation and reflection. And, I think like being an actor, especially in Los Angeles, I live in Los Angeles, everyone. I don't know, but I'm in Los Angeles.
It's in the morning.
Being in LA, like, I think being the life of being an actor is sort of, and being the life of an actor in general is sort of this putting out, being, hi, look at me, I've got the stuff, look at my work, oh my god, hi, do you see, oh, yeah, like we have this sort of, I don't know, it's like an inner pressure, I think, also external pressure, but there's this sort of pressure to constantly be producing and pushing forth and look at my shiny thing, don't you love my shiny thing? You want me to make more shiny things?
Give me $1. Yeah. Yeah.
But again, like this whole process, this whole pandemic, this whole, has really sort of put a pause on things, has elongated things, has stretched things out, and yeah, I think that's sort of been a weird, like, it's blessing in a way where I've just sort of given myself the okay to be like, hey, there's a lot of people that are wanting you to like do a reading or like, hey, let's do sonnets or again, not disparaging these projects. It's just for me at this current juncture as a theater artist of color in America with this, just a performer of color, like, I feel like it's constantly thinking about like, is this necessary for me? Like doing like my sort of wholehearted active participation out in these sort of modes. I don't think it's necessary, and I think really what's being most helpful for me is observing, is absorbing, is supporting, and I think that's sort of what I've been functioning mostly as in the last few months with this pandemic. Alice!
Alice, hey! I just want to name, in case you can hear this in the video, there's like a loud noise outside my window. I don't know if you can hear it. So I live in an apartment building where we all really love our cats, and this time we've spent a lot of time doting on our cats, and my upstairs neighbor is building like a chicken wire corral so that the cats can hang out on the porch. So that's the noise. It's power tools.
Wait, there's going to be a cat veranda? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, we've been taking them out into the garden and letting the cat like meet each other and like boop noses and stuff, and we're just trying to like make any place.
So Poppy's lots of friends. Is that
yeah.
what
Interruption really quick in case that sound is in this interview video. That's what that is. It's for cats, which is forgivable.
Absolutely. It's definitely for
so let's move forward to talk a little bit more about like this idea of collaboration and sort of innovating. Your latest major collaboration with the Hive was with our project Medusa, which ran for about 1.5 years in various stages that you were a part of at different stages. Yes. So tell us a little bit about this work as a whole, and more specifically, your role as an actor trainer and a movement director.
Yeah. So my journey from Medusa, I think, physically began with London when we did our first development. Oh my God, why does that feel so long ago? Mm-hmm. It feels like a lifetime ago. And
1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
2 years ago? I don't know.
It's 1.5 years ago at least. But sort of, so with Medusa, again, it was really interesting because I was taking on the role of movement director and actor trainer as opposed to, and not performing entirely, which was really lovely. And I cherish the moments that I get to do that kind of work. But, really, I think the process was this beautiful, I was able to get these beautiful bookends where the first development that we did in London, we sort of kicked it off, and I think, really being able to find an ensemble of artists that were so just continually open-hearted and continue pushing themselves to like I have a bunch of like training phrases often that come out while we're doing work or doing training, and the enter the problem, this whole idea of entering this performance, this figuring out this puzzle of what this show was going to be, I think could not have happened in the way that it did without our first ensemble being so and so heartfelt and so sort of clear and
yeah.
I think on top of that, it was that extra level of we had pushback, we had all of like our first foray into this sort of shop and development world was not flawless and was not without some, crazy things happening. But I think it was really beautiful because everyone was clearly invested in the goal that we all had as artists, as story, as turning it on its head and cracking it open and looking at it in this, sort of post classic, intersectional feminist interpretation. I think it was really, really a blessing to have that structure of that first core group and being able to pick up all the things from there, like a jack, just sort of this box that sort of opens all these ideas that were then refined through Paris, refined through Italy, and then to be able to sort of see that on the other end when I rejoined Chicago, I think was a really sort of fantastic experience for me, because I sort of was able to set these seedlings in motion, and then the beautiful stewardship of Denise and Katie and Carolina and Iman and like all of our other tendrils sort of fed and nourished those seedlings that we had planted. And then in Chicago it was like, oh, I have a bouquet. It's like, oh, cool, we got these flowers from this one, we got these flowers from this, and I feel like we were really able to draw on so much that I think really speaks to a lot of the collaborative nature of what we do, as well as just the exploratory, the exploratory nature we've been trying to attempt with this whole international experiment.
Yeah. What is it like to be an actor trainer and a movement director of people from different places in different times?
It is lovely. I mean, I think I have a bit of luck and added advantage in the fact that so much of my training, like when I was in Australia, I was doing trainings internationally, and my own personal life and development has put me in this weird wandering nomad set of being. So I think I personally really enjoy it. Like, I love being around an international relations, mainly because it feels right. And it feels comfortable, and I love sort of the not describe not I don't know how to describe it other than like I love the moments of static, or the moments of where my hard edges brush up against someone else's hard edges, or we have there are these places of communication or listening that sort of is like, oh right, we are attempting a thing, like we are in places that have different ideas about what the world is and different experiences of what that is. And so how do we, one, share those ideas, two, refine and build off of those ideas to create something that is our own, that is greater, that is more beautiful. And so I think that's sort of the thing that really keeps me engaged in this work. And I just love being in a room full of all you internet weirdos.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a story,
Yeah. What was it like? I'm sort of going on a thread because I'd love to hear about this too. What was it like to work with some artists in different cities? We had Carolina, who was in Italy, who is an Italian artist who was at the London workshop, who was then in the Chicago workshop and brought other artists from Italy who had been in Piacenza, but like you weren't there. So what was that like, sort of seeing people at different stages of the process and reconnecting and moving forward?
That's really, I think that whole, like, big shout out to the Italian crew. Y'all, the Italian Chicago crew, y'all were exceptional and incredible. And Carolina, like, your leadership of them and of your help in our endeavors was so appreciated. I think that's actually the most beautiful testament of sort of the work that we're doing in the way that we did. Like, so for those of you that don't know, we in the Chicago production we had a unit of Italians swoop in the final moments of the show, in working on the show, and essentially we're able to slot in a beautiful and wonderful way into our Chicago choral ensemble. And really, I think that the genius and magic of it was that Juan Carolina had done such deep, meaningful, clear work with that ensemble that when we had those members of the ensemble, like, you know, every everyone was keyed in. Like, and also we had very, very little time to actually make it happen, and so everyone was extra keyed in. But just sort of that knowing, I don't know. For me, it was actually because, like, I don't know. I was like, okay, they know, they're pros. Like they've done it before. Like they know this language. We're just building on this foundation that we have, and now we're seeing how this moves in this space, and sort of changing the idea, like because it toured, because we were using different venues for the performances. That was a whole other aspect that we hadn't discussed before, that I hadn't, experienced in the previous iterations of Medusa. So that everyone was sort of, I think it was nice because there were people who were completely blindsided, out of left field. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I've never done work like that before. And then, there were sort of us who were like, yes, we have experience making things work. and so it was this really, I feel like it was a really beautiful union of being able to find the people who were pillars in that way. Were able to really see the bigger vision of the work, and then be like, all right, I need y'all to do this, and then essentially being able to deliver in that like really solid, powerful, consistent way. Again, it's a choreographer's dream, it's a movement director's dream, like to be able to have this sort of unit of units come in, and be able to do the work.
Yeah.
But I think, like, for me, one of the things as a trainer, as a person who's training actors, who, and for those of you that don't know, this is a Suzuki method of actor training, Buto, the viewpoints. Those are sort of those are three of, I guess, the tendrils that we cultivated in the work in creating Medusa, that I think really allowed for the ensemble to deepen, and for really everyone as performers to grow, But I think that this training, for the ensembles themselves, being able to see how internationals attacked the work, how they approached the work, I think, then this isn't in any way to disparage the Chicago ensemble in any way, but we're American. Like, being Americans puts us in a different way of how we approach and attack work, how we look at entering problems, how we, and so it's always such a blessing to be able to see, a group of people who are like, oh, this is how we look at, this is the way that we approach this work, or this is how we approach this technique, or, oh, this is a thing I'm not used to, but I will throw myself into it. It gives me that, I want to be learning, and I want to be refining, and I think that really for the Chicago ensemble, the inclusion of the Italian ensemble actually like pumped everyone. It really bolstered everyone across the board. But I think, to a certain extent, it was sort of a little bit of like, I think they raised the level, they brought the flavor, they brought the fire, and everyone had to respond in kind or be left behind, and I think that's sort of the really exciting thing about when we have sort of all of these different cultures and different groups sort of melting and swirling and spinning and creating, that it only helps us. It only makes us better, really.
Beautiful, inspiring words, Earl Kim. That's incredible. Yeah, what an opportunity to bring people together and see the way people work.
The book ending, I think I feel really lucky that, like, I feel so sad that I missed, Italy and Paris, but I just felt so lucky that I was able to slot in at the end and sort of be able to see the really the breadth of life that Medusa was able to live.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then after the Chicago production, Fusion Theater
Mhm.
produced two full runs, one at the Cockpit and one at the Pleasance in London. And that ensemble included people from different performances. So Eliza and Nell, who were in that original
Mhm.
London ensemble that you supported in January of 2019, and then Jen, who was in the Chicago ensemble of summer of 2019.
Yep.
It's incredible, like these people coming together in a new place and then telling an entirely different version, right? But the same, but a new version of it, sort of pulling, like you said, from this bouquet.
But also
Um,
like knowing that Jen and Nell and Eliza, like their understanding of our process, their understanding of the trainings, their sort of connection to what we had done for the last year, I think in those ensemble groups, like I think I know and I'm fully confident that all of the work that we've done was reverberating and echoing all of the work that they were making, right? And that's the thing that
yeah. Amazing. So thank you for talking a little bit more about your work as movement director. I think it's really interesting. A lot of time, the conversations tend to be on the folks in the spotlight, and there's so much work that goes into developing the performance. I appreciate your perspective. What looking forward? Is there anything that you're excited about with sort of the opportunities of Global Hive Lab, the opportunities of your personal work intersecting with that? What are you looking forward to in the future as a member of the collective?
in the collective. I mean, I am so many things. I'm excited about just the growth and development that Hive is sort of going through right now. I think um, that how do I'm trying to articulate it in like we're active. It feels like we're anyways. um, Obviously, I'm excited about working on new shows and the possibility of doing these, continuing our international exploration and exchanges with various artists around the world. I really, I'm also excited about some days that Global Hive entering into with, the Patreon launching and sort of this fusion into digital content and sort of understanding this realm of uh, recorded and lens based artworks.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's really forcing everyone to develop that uh, technological literacy,
Yeah.
and so that's really exciting. Okay, cool. We're starting to evolve. Like we're actually, it's more than just us. Like, okay, we got to fly to a different country and then meet with a different country artists and then and like the first versions of this, were happening over Skype, and the with the global warming and that whole action like technology has inherently been inbuilt into what we do because of the distance and because of the stuff, and then so now I feel like there's this shift. All right, we've always looked at this as a barrier oftentimes, or like this distance, like our lack of possible distance to each other has been seen as, and yes, it can be and can be detrimental in when you're trying to like, and can't but I think that now it's sort of seeming like that distance is even
Hmm.
sort of the way that our technology is and the way that we're all collectively as society, sort of having to catch up about like, all right, well, like if you told me a year ago that my like 80-year old uncle was going to be able to use Zoom Like, I would you like, but, like, but you know what I mean? Like, it is actively forced people in a way to sort of think about, oh, technologies and these ways of communication, and ultimately like the stories that we tell, you know. So I think I'm the jumps with this work. Yeah. I mean, also, you know, who knows? Like, now that we got all this time, I'll write a Global Hive movie.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
Any producers out there who wants to finance this one?
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. We're getting close to the end of our time, and so I wanted to carry on something that River does, which is asking a question. I think the game is called like, how well do you really know each other, or do you really know each other? And you and I know each other quite well. We're quite close. So I'm gonna ask you a
Sorry,
it's flipping.
Yeah,
I know. Okay, here we go. When was? Oh no, am I there? Okay.
Okay.
When was the last time you surprised yourself?
Oh. Oh wow. Sorry, I was. When was the last time I surprised myself? Oh. I think the last time I see. So if if we're gonna say surprise, can it also mean that one time when I basically I was cooking in the kitchen. This was like a couple days ago. I was cooking in the kitchen, and then I basically was taking stuff out of the fridge and then moved it onto the counter while watching, like while simultaneously being something on the stove and cooking. And then as I was cooking, the thing that I had set up, which was like there was a bowl and like it was some vegetables and stuff, like it moved. But I'm pretty sure it was gravity, and I'm pretty sure it was just me being a dumbass and like placing something in like a precarious position. But I screamed because I scared the shit out of myself. Like, and I was just like, ah! Like, and there's no one in this apartment, Earl. Like, you literally just took a bag of kale and some salad out of the fridge and set it down, and it fell over because you set it. But what, like, I don't know. I thought I was dying. I thought there was an alien. I don't know. Like, it was just the most, like, I seriously, like, it was just this weird panic. But I think that it's that, like, I don't know. I think these times have sort of put us on edge in this weird, bizarre way of, like, things that falling salad is not normally a thing that scares the shit out of me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's my first instinct is also always aliens or ghosts. Aliens or ghosts. There cannot be a natural explanation.
That's kind of the only possible.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing that peek into your kitchen. Was the meal good? Did you recover?
It was delicious. I myself out of my frightened state by eating some food. But yeah, it was again, it feels like it's like one of those like pandemic, like I feel like it would make this wonderful like sketch pandemic, like it's happening. Like, how are people coping? And it's like I'm coping by being fucking terrified of salad falling.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh, well, on that wonderful note, Earl, you're always a delight. You always make me laugh. You're one of the most creative, inspiring, talented people that I know. And I'm so happy that I'm your friend. I'm so happy that we get to collaborate and work together. And I'm so glad that the people of Instagram now get to learn a little bit more about you and your work. I see that we have a few people on the stream. If there's anybody who has a question for Earl, I'll hold for a couple seconds if you'd like to type in a question for Earl. Just in case.
If not, if you see this and then have questions, you can send questions.
Yeah.
My Instagram is @Firestorm, FYRESTORM. So, slide into those DMs anytime you want.
Ooh. Are there any other places online that people can find you?
Oh, yeah, on Twitter, I am @Earl of Sammich. All one word, Earl of SAMMICH. So it's Sammiches, not sandwiches.
And you have a podcast, right?
Oh, so yeah, I do have a podcast. Sorry, thank you, Denise. Me and my friends, we do a role-playing game podcast called Dice Try. We've actually recently shifted out of, because originally it was a D&D based podcast, but now we've shifted out of just doing D&D, and we're actually doing, we've been doing all of these really interesting homebrew role-playing games. My favorite one we actually did this past session that our episode's coming up soon, but it's called Paw Patrol, and it's basically we are all taking on the roles of mice in a house that are trying to survive and not get caught by the cat. And so it's just it's a fun little game. So that's
amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Come check us out. We're at Dice Tribe Podcast on your podcast aggregators like Stitcher or Apple Podcasts or Spotify or all of them. We're on them. Dice Tribe.
Thank you. And we do have one question from a viewer just before we go. Earl Kim, when will we be seeing you on the big screen? Well,
the big screen is probably not going to happen for a little bit, but I do have some exciting projects coming up later this month. One of a big project that I've been working on for a long time is coming out. I still technically can't talk about it.
That's when you know it's exciting.
Yeah. It will be coming very soon, and it will be hopefully wonderful and interactive, and it will be on any size screen that you want to put it on, right? Yeah, that you can put it on. And So, later this month we might do something else to talk about it. But stay tuned. Keep following me on my socials to find out about it. But it is super big and super exciting. I just can't talk about it because I might get in trouble, and I don't want to get in trouble because I like this project.
Cool.
I will keep you all updated.
Thank you, Earl, for giving us that little teaser of the exciting things to come, and thank you for spending the last little 45 minutes with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you everyone for watching live, both those who watch live and anybody who's watching this now at a later time. Please feel free to follow Global Hive Labs on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, YouTube. We're everywhere. Today, in about 10 minutes, is dropping the next installment of our Classics Up Close series, which is coming from our ensemble in Piacenza that has done an entirely Italian performance of Carlo Goldoni's play La Locandina, or The Innkeeper, We are so excited. We are presenting this act by act to our bountiful patrons on Patreon. So go check that out. It drops in like 9 minutes.
Yay!
Woo! Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Earl.
Cool.
We'll see you next time. Yeah, meet the G Hive. Bye.
Rose